What is up, everyone? So last time you guys saw me, we tried to start the 13B in the SC for the very first time. Full build, first start. It was rough. It really put a toll on me, but by the end of the video, we ended up prevailing and getting this thing to run for at least a few seconds, which was a big deal. I feel like this is my initiation to the rotary world. Rough first startup, just it's how it goes. So we learned a lot, got a lot figured out, and next time we try and start this thing, it'll go great. It'll idle, we'll put a heat cycle in it, the cooling system will be finished. That'll probably be next video. But for today is a lazy Sunday. I am here by myself and I don't need to film a video because I missed a video yesterday because I decided to actually go to a drift event and not film. I just wanted to enjoy myself. It was an amazing time. I loved it. It was my first time I actually got to drive with Brian in like 3 years. I drove the 350Z, which I haven't driven since Drift Week. The car did great. Me and Brian had some amazing runs. I got to see a bunch of friends I don't get to see very often down at Lock City. It was wonderful and I needed it. But today we got to film a video and the question is, what do we film? I'm here by myself. I have all these cars, all these project cars. Do we wrench? Do we talk about something? Do we go buy a car? Who knows? But I sat here and decided to show some love to something that we haven't showed love to in a long time and something that we get a lot of requests for, and well, that is the Red Z. Seems as if this car has had some new electrical gremlins pop up as it's been sitting here for over a year. You hear that? Looks like 20-year-old Jimmy has some loose wires back here. By the way, that wasn't edited, that was first start. That thing started right up. Good old American muscle. This thing literally hasn't been started in over a year. Good chop. Very good chop. Well, boys, here it is. This is the original backbone of the entire channel. The thing that kind of sparked everything. If you don't know this car, I would say it's because you're new, but I haven't really talked about this car too much in the last few years. We'll bring it out here and there, but realistically, it's just been kind of sitting in the back, chilling. Sometimes I'll let friends drive it, but besides that, here it is. If you don't know what it is, this is the car that literally started the channel. Probably 6 or 7 years ago. I think it was 7 years ago. 7 years ago. It feels like yesterday, which it like makes me like happy, but also makes me feel sick to my stomach thinking about it. We made the first videos for the channel starting with LS swapping my Z32. Actually, let's cut to a clip for old time's sake. How do we even start this, RJ?
How do we start a video?
And here we're gonna do an LS1 swap in my 300ZX. So you guys saw how it all started. Me and RJ in my mom's garage putting this LS1 out of a Trans Am into my Z32. It was the first time I've ever attempted anything like this in my life. The car that literally started all of this. We've grown a lot, we've learned a lot. It's been an amazing experience. It has been like a blink of an eye. Like the fact that it was 7 years ago doesn't even register in my brain because it literally felt like it was maybe 2 years ago. What is this thing? Like, right? If you guys aren't here, what is this thing? This is a 1990 Z32 300ZX, original twin turbo. That, well, you know, the twin turbo blew up. I was absolutely devastated because this car was my world. This was everything to me. So obsessed with cars. This is the car I had, and I wanted something special. And when my twin turbo blew up, I didn't know what to do. It was around the time that LS swaps were super popular. 2016, I believe. 2015 is when I think it was 2015. LS swapping something was like I mean, it's still a thing, but it was like every week there was a new car that was LS swapped, and it was like blowing everyone's mind. I got it into my head I needed to LS swap this thing, and well, we made it happen, right? So now this thing has an LS1 from a Trans Am. Behind it is the stock twin turbo transmission with the LOJ adapter kit. It's a full Texas Speed head and cam package. It makes like 430 horsepower all motor, which is really cool. It's a full LOJ swap kit, mounts, accessory brackets, and besides that, it was done very conservatively. There's a lot of stock stuff on here that was just spray painted and cleaned up. I still have the original radiator for the twin turbo in the car. Like, I built this car on an absolute budget. I spent every waking moment of my life trying to figure out how to afford this thing. And well, boom, here it is. LOJ Conversions was my first sponsorship. And I feel so bad for the guy who runs that company because I was just a passionate, way too passionate young kid trying to make this happen. And I probably sent him the worst, longest, absolute horrendous sponsorship proposal in my entire life. So if you're seeing this now, thank you for believing in me, and I am sorry for those emails. But you know what's actually really funny? Wiring Specialties was my second sponsor ever. So huge shout out to Wiring Specialties for giving me a discount on this harness, especially when I was so small, because it allowed me to do this. LOJ and Wiring Specialties, without you guys, I wouldn't have been able to do this, wouldn't have been able to afford it, and I'm so grateful years later, and it's cool that I'm still working very close with Wiring Specialties. I mean, this car was built as cheap as I could possibly do it. I didn't want to do it with cheap parts. I wanted to do it in a cheap way, if that makes sense, right? So, I mean, look at this. A lot of this stuff isn't fancy aftermarket. You know, it's an eBay fuel kit, cheapest one I could find that looked like it wasn't going to light the car on fire. A lot of it is just the OEM stuff, cleaned, repainted, tried to look new. All the aluminum, I sat there and cleaned it all. This thing, very proud of it. It has been working ever since. It's pretty wild. It's a good car. It drives amazing. The crazy thing is, like, I haven't really touched this car much since the first test drive. Like, we did the head package stuff like that, but I haven't really changed much. It has just worked. So, like, how many engine swaps could you say you threw together and it just has really never left you stranded? It's pretty damn simple, right? We have still in Type 3 side skirts with a little eBay lip kit on them. PBM coilovers, which was the first part I ever bought for this car. Work VSXS wheels, 9.5 22, 10.5 22. Later on, I ended up putting Ganondorfs on it. Of course, the interior is quite stock. Nice little shift knob and a Nardi wheel. Of course, day one with Nardi. eBay roof wing, a replica twin turbo wing because my factory one rotted off. Never got it fitted to the trunk properly, and realistically, that's all you get. The last thing I cannot forget is this. My hardwood floor in my hatch right here. I think this is hilarious. If you guys don't remember, I came from Volkswagens. I was inspired by Volkswagens. All my friends are Volkswagen guys. That's what got me in the cars, and this was a big ass Volkswagen mod to do. And me being 19-year-old Jimmy and being broke, but wanting to really just do anything I can, find any excuse to work on my car, I went to Home Depot in the clearance aisle, got some cheap ass Pergo flooring, and made this new floor for the trunk of my Z. At the time, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. If I saw this at a car show, I wouldn't know what to expect, but whatever. I think that's way too funny. Early on in this car, this was all I had. This was it. And to own this car was such a stretch for me. Like, I really had to push myself. You know, Z's, first from the start, were never cheap. Dipped at one point, but they were never cheap. And like, just to buy the car alone was such a stretch. And then of course an engine swap in my position was, thinking about it now, kind of wild, right? Because there really is no cheap engine swap. Even if you get a motor for free, you're still you're still gonna pay thousands of dollars trying to get in there. At the time, I was so scared to break the car because I couldn't afford to fix it. It took so much out of me to actually physically swap this car that if it broke, I don't think I could have mentally handled it. It's so funny because this car, it's so low. Like, it is probably one of my lowest cars, like between wheel gap and just body height alone. This car is slammed, but it is probably one of the nicest driving cars I've ever driven. This is the car that I've always let anyone drive. Like, even if like they're not that good at driving low. RJ, I think like probably 3 years ago, RJ like daily drove this thing like for a whole summer. It was nuts, and no stress, no issues. It didn't bother me because this thing is so easy to drive. It's pretty wild because, if you guys know, driving a low car, it's not easy. The Z to me was always the Japanese Corvette. For it to get an LS, it only kind of feels right. Now here's the thing, right? Everyone's gonna rip me apart on this one, but I've never been a big LS guy. I feel like just being a dude, like, who doesn't love a V8, right? Big torque, good power, cheap, easy, cheap, and it works. For some reason, I've never really enjoyed the power band of an LS. Like, I've always been such a turbo guy. A lot of the LS stuff I've driven, it's always kind of bored me, and it's not that it's not exciting in its own way, but I'm not a big V8 guy. I've always been a turbo guy. Just always been my preferred type of power band. It is very enjoyable to drive, but this car doesn't really excite me. It doesn't really make me want to drive spiritedly, if that makes sense. I kind of saved the car for special occasions, right? Especially after the old engine blowing up, I was just on edge with the car. It never gave me issues, but it still always stressed me out. So like I said, I used to just save the car kind of for special occasions, like weekends, car shows, dates with Steph, and like, that's kind of it. And then as I got older, we got into the shop, we got new projects. YouTube gets excited about the new projects. Things get pushed into the corner, you forget, and then boom, right? Everyone always wants me to modify it, and the problem is I just don't know what to do with it, right? I don't want to chop it up for a wide body. It's just like, is it my thing? And then everyone wants me to turbo it. And turboing would be super cool. Obviously, make a bunch of power, do this, but I think it would make it less enjoyable to drive. Love this car for what it is. It's like a staple of like a time in my life that I'm very proud of, and this is it. I would love to refresh it because the body's beat, it's dented the shit, it's scratched the shit, the paint sucks, but I don't know if I can justify redoing this whole entire thing to put a turbo on it or a supercharger. At the end of the day, that would have me redo so much of this car, and at this point, this car is kind of a staple to me. Kind of, I want to say, retired. If I was to do it again, I think a JZ would have been the move for me. Now, the hard part is the straight sixes are tight and fit in here because even though these have a really, really wide engine bay, they have a really, really short engine bay. Like, even the SR like looked long in this engine bay, so it is a tight fit. But if I wanted to drive these, if I wanted one of these with a very sporty, very tuner-esque drivetrain, I would have definitely gone 1 or 2J. But that's just my opinion. Honestly, even the SRZ is a little bit more exciting to drive than this. One of the best parts about the Z though is it's a T-top, so tops come off. It's kind of like having a convertible, but you know, not being convertible, which is nice. I forgot how good this car drives, dude. So nice. Oh man, it's like Japan all over again. blades on this car. I think they're hooked up. Yeah, my little nub is spinning. I just don't have the wiper arm actually on. Like the V8 is sick because it's just like you always have power. Like whatever RPM you're at, like you'll get pushed back in your seat. Definitely isn't the fastest car, but it just has a really, really nice amount of power where like you could just enjoy your Sunday cruise. Donald!
Lovely day for a drive, ain't it?
Ain't it?
Ain't it? What are you doing in this thing?
I don't think I've driven it since we raced against your CTSV.
That's a problem, dude. How's it run? Great, as always. What are you doing? What made you drive this today?
It's really nice out.
I agree. So I'm about to do the same thing. Apple picking or some shit.
What to do in the Northeast. Alright, she sounds good, she drives good, she works good. Now,
She looks damn good.
she looks good. She's a little beat up. Let me show you some of the not so good things about this car while we have a chance, right? This thing has gotten pretty banged up over the years. I mean, when I got this car, it had more door dings than your average Hyundai Sonata. I don't know what happened. My butt, bad, right? It's always been like that. My buddy is does PDR for a living. He said that most likely, like, when it was on the trailer, there was like a strap just like smacking it. Because it's like micro dents, you see it? Or this thing was just parked in the middle of a Walmart parking lot every day. A while ago, a dirt bike fell on it and kind of duffed the door. We never fixed it. The hood fell. Good old dent in there. Peeling, that's a Z thing. Could use a good correction.
That's a good
A
red.
little different than that red. A little chip in the fender. It's an old car, dude. It's hard to do it without redoing everything, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Still have to paint the damn 86. It's a good car. It's got good bones. There isn't a lick of rust on this car. Like, it's, you know, it still only has 110,000 miles on the chassis, which I guess is a lot, but not that bad. Interior is dusty, but it's good. Z interiors aged a lot better than the S chassis interiors, I think.
I love these interiors.
I mean, these were also made to be like the luxury, more expensive version. The S chassis were the throwaway cars. These were like the
Higher.
These were so expensive. The window, I had the window sticker from this car. It's like 50,000 something.
No.
It was 50 something thousand dollars in 1990.
way.
I swear to God.
That is ridiculous. I would not spend 50 grand. I mean,
Imagine when this thing came out though in 1989, and they're just like twin turbo, T-top, sexy. You know?
everyone and their mother probably wanted one, and they got them.
Someone's wealthy uncle that had no kids bought it.
Little ding there, never seen that.
You never seen that little ding? That's been a day one ding, baby.
Good car. This is where it started everything. First car you ever built.
That's it. I just like letting it be a time capsule what it is.
Keeper, leaver, enjoyer.
If I die, can you just light this on fire?
If you want, if that's what
Yeah,
you want.
yeah, thank you. Yeah. If I die, this thing's dying with me, all right?
I got you.
Okay. So honestly, a couple more aero bits here and there, maybe clean the car up, show it a little more attention, and I'm happy. It's so hard to want to rewrite the script on this car. Even the wheels, like I love what it is. Usually I love changing wheels, but I don't even care. Like this car means the world to me. The energy it gives off. I love it for what it is. And it represents a big thing to me. The red Z sister, the black Z. Hell of a car. I hate to admit, but I kind of wish I had an SR, the red one. For now, I'm gonna go home, and I'm gonna drive the car home. My 10-minute drive. So, it feels good. So when I started filming yesterday, I kind of just pulled the camera out and didn't really know what I was going to say. But after kind of like driving this thing home and having like a night to think about it, like there's a couple things I just couldn't put in the words yesterday that I want to make a statement about today. I always have this hard time of explaining what I think of the LS swap, and it always comes off sounding negative. But I don't want it to sound like I don't like it. The best way I think I mentally am able to say this is it kind of stole the Japanese soul of the car with this drivetrain in it, because like now it looks like a Japanese car aesthetically. You know, obviously interior is Japanese, it's all Japanese styling, but now it has like the driving characteristics of an American car. It literally just feels like I'm driving a Corvette. It feels so similar. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's like kind of crazy how it really did kind of steal like the Japanese tuner feel out of it and made it feel like an American car. And on top of that, when it comes to modding this car, I've been trying to think like why I'm so weird about modding this car. And to me, I think I really love what this car represents and what it's done for me. And I feel like if I start changing parts on it, it's gonna almost like erase like the story it has, if that makes sense. If I start switching the wheels, switching the aero, switching the drivetrain, switching the steering wheel, it's gonna like completely just kind of erase this like physical presence of like a time in my life. Either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video of me just rambling about my Z. It's a good car.
How'd she run?
Like it's hot.
Sweet, man. She made me hype when I saw that story.
We drove the Red Z, it feels good. We'll drive it more this season. I'll let Spoon take it out. I think he'll enjoy the car.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Spoon in the Red Z, T-tops off.
I had a Corvette.
You had a Corvette?
I had a C5.
What
No
the
way.
fuck?
Get out of here.
How are you just... That should have been on your resume. Like,
I owned a black C5 and a Chevy 2500 at the same time.
Back when he was sponsored by Muscle Milk.
Can you see Spoon with the 2100 and oh my god.
I can't imagine you in a C5. Bumping country.
And he had Chippewas in the back seat. Boys, it is now Monday. We got work to do. Busy week as always, but I hope you guys enjoy a little love with the Red Z. And for now, you know the deal. Like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more content. Austin,
Have a good night.